Good afternoon and welcome to all of our Facebook viewers who are watching us live today. This is our first live event with Unforgettable. We hope it's the first of many to come. We're planning to hold one every month, and the subjects we cover will very much depend on the areas of interest to you, our community. This is a live session that's available only to our Facebook group, our closed community. So you can be sure that any comments you post about this subject will be just seen by the community. So we're starting today with the subject of trackers. This is a subject that's been in the news recently. And we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of using tracking devices for people living with dementia. So I'm going to be talking about some of the ethical issues connected with using tracking devices. And I'm going to be talking to my colleague Charlie, who's going to give us a mini masterclass on how they actually work. But before we get on to the main subject, I'll just say a little bit about my background and how, as caregiver-in-chief, I've been asked to facilitate these conversations. So my name is Barbara. I started with Unforgettable in January this year. I have decades of experience behind me in the dementia field and have seen many, many changes over those years. At one time I worked for the Alzheimer's Society. I also worked for Dementia UK and was involved in helping to set up a not-for-profit social enterprise called Dementia Pathfinders. And I've also been affected by dementia in my family. So in the 1980s, my father-in-law had what was called in those days senile dementia, which we later understood to be vascular dementia. And in those days, really very little was understood about how to care for somebody with dementia. Then in the early part of the 2000s, around 2001 or 2, my mother-in-law became ill with Alzheimer's disease, and again, as a family, we struggled to cope with the effects of Alzheimer's, and at that time my mother-in-law lived on her own, so the challenges were different. And then I write a weekly blog for Unforgettable, and if you've been following my blog, you'll know that I wrote recently about my father's memory assessment at a memory clinic, and we are awaiting the outcome of that assessment. And whilst my father hasn't yet been diagnosed, we are expecting that he will be. So this subject is very relevant to me right now, and tracking devices, a tracker, is something that certainly we will consider as a family for my father. We ran a small survey with the members of the community to ask what people's opinions were about trackers. And of the people who responded, 71% said they were very much in favour of trackers. 15% of respondents said that really it would depend on the person's capacity, their capacity to agree to having a tracker and using a tracker. And clearly that is an issue that needs to be considered, and we will discuss that shortly. And 14% of people said they really didn't know enough about them to be able to answer the question. And that's partly why we decided we'd run this session today. So we hope you find it helpful. So I'm going to now ask Charlie. Charlie works in customer service, and Charlie's going to tell us a little bit about how trackers work.
Lovely. So trackers work via a GPS signal, a location. So they basically will work with your smartphones. As long as there is a GPS connection, you're going to be able to locate and find someone that you're searching for with a tracker.
So it works like a telephone, a mobile phone?
It basically works like a telephone. The majority of them, for example, the one here that we have, our personal armoured GPS tracker, is our bestseller. This comes included with its own little SIM card, and it's provided with a mobile number and a SIM number as well. So yeah, you can communicate it as if it was a mobile phone.
So the person with dementia would carry the tracking device with them in some way? How would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So with this, for example, there's a little loop here that you can put it on a keyring or a lanyard. We do find that a lot of customers say that they would put it on a keyring because they know that when someone's going to go out, they'll just take it with their keyring. So, you know, it's always going to be with them, and you will then just know that they have got it with them, and you've got that sense of security, and you know that it's peace of mind really that they've gone out with it, and you can find them if you need to.
So I guess one of the issues really for people who are using tracking devices is actually being sure the person with dementia will keep it with them. That's one of the concerns I know that people raise.
Absolutely, yes. It's hard to track without them having
Yes,
it with them.
yes.
But it's quite easy. It's small, it's lightweight, and it's quite discreet really. If you were to attach it to a key ring, it's not going to be too noticeable. It's kind of like having a car key attached to it, I suppose. So there shouldn't be too many issues of them not wanting to take it with them.
Great, okay. And one of this concept of, we're asked questions often about this concept of geofencing, and that's a term that many people may not really understand. So can you explain what the term geofencing actually means?
Absolutely. So a geofence is basically a safe zone, which the caregiver, loved one who is basically in control of the tracker, can set, so that if there's a certain zone that they don't want them to go out of, if there's walking within 100 metres, you'll get alerted to your smartphone to say that they have left that safe zone, and it also notifies you as well when you go back in as well. So it's really handy and something that a lot of customers do use. So.
Okay, so it's peace of mind really.
Absolutely.
If a particular geographical area is familiar to a person, if they're within that area, then the carer can feel they're safe. If they wander outside or move outside of that area for any reason, then the carer is alerted and they can know where they are immediately.
Absolutely. It sort of picks up a circle around the area, and within 100 metres, for example, as soon as they go out that 100 metres in a certain area, then you'd be notified and you can sort of get in contact with them and say, hope everything's okay.
Okay, that's lovely. And tell us, what are some of the other features this tracker has?
Oh, perfect. So with this tracker, this has a fall detection. So again, if it's on a lanyard or on a keys with them, and their keys are in their pocket, if they were to have a fall, the tracker senses it, so it hits the floor, and what will happen is that it will alert all emergency contacts that have been programmed into this tracker. So you would then be able to know that the fall has been detected, and you can contact them and let them know. So within contacting them, that's another feature of this as well, is that it has two-way calls. So you can contact the tracker with its mobile number that's provided, or they can contact you as well themselves. There's a little button here that they can press, and it will contact through to you, and you'll be able to have that two-way conversation. And also there is a SOS button as well, which is the main feature of this. So again, if somebody's out and they sort of get a bit lost and not too sure where they are, if they just trigger the SOS button by simply pressing it, it will contact all three emergency contacts, and then it will start calling them as well until somebody answers.
So the person with dementia and their family, they're completely in control of how this device is used and can set it up in whatever way they feel is the most appropriate for the situation.
Absolutely, it's a real simple guide to setting it up. Like I say, it comes with the SIM number and the mobile number. You load up 3 emergency contacts, and you set them as A1, B1 and C1, so you've got them set there, and you just go onto an online portal to register the details so that your tracker becomes active. And then if you ever need to request a location of the person, you simply text the tracker's mobile number that you're provided with into your phone as if you were going to be texting, a friend or something. You text them a little code that you get given, and it bounces back with a Google Maps link to your smartphone so that you can see their location.
Okay, so, and I know Charlie, that you're on the end of the phone often in customer services, helping people with setting up these devices. So we're always happy to help.
Always happy to help. If you're ever to purchase one and need any advice or concerns, then by all means certainly give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to talk you through it.
Lovely. Okay. Well, we're coming back to that in a little while. So thank you for now. So we're going to move on to thinking about what are some of the drawbacks of trackers? What are some of the questions people have that might you might stop and think, is this really the right thing to do? And I know it's been a contentious issue, technology of this kind, over recent years, and seems to be a bit of a sway towards accepting that we live in a technological world, and these sorts of devices are really here to help us. I know I was mentioning my father earlier, and I'm imagining already my father's sort of 88, he's very independent, his life he sustains himself really by having independence and going to the local town on the bus and going shopping, and I can imagine that a device like this would be incredibly helpful to help him maintain his independence, and that's going to prolong his life and keep him fit and healthy and well. But I can also imagine my mum really struggling with she doesn't have a smartphone, she doesn't really use a phone. I can imagine that would be a barrier. So already I'm thinking myself, well, how could this technology help my father? So one of the questions we're often asked is, well, is it really ethical to have a device that is tracking somebody? Is it not sort of a contravention of their human rights to have this kind of device with them and used? And I suppose the issue here is keeping the best interests of the person with dementia at the heart of the issue. So it's not going to be right for everybody, but certainly for people who are living alone and who are still physically active and living an independent life, this might be a solution for maintaining that independence for longer. And so it's a very positive solution for many families. It may not work forever, but it may work for several months, it may work for several years, and so it's something that's worth a try. But I suppose the other issue is then, if someone isn't really willing to take a tracker with them, then you can't force it upon them. It's something that really has to be discussed while the person is in a position to agree to this technology being used. And it's important they understand it's for their safety. So it's not that they're being, it's not a substitute for care. It isn't a way of keeping control of them. It's a way of enabling them to have more freedom and more independence. So we have to see the benefits of these sorts of devices in that way. The other issue that is often raised is, can these trackers be used in care settings? And I certainly have known of someone whose husband was in a care setting, and she invested in a tracker in order that he could maintain his independence and be allowed to go outside of the care home and into the local community and go about his life in a more independent way than he would otherwise have been able to. And in that circumstance, the tracker was being used in a very appropriate way. But we would never suggest that a tracker would be used as a substitute for care. It's not a way of controlling someone or tagging someone or restricting their freedom. So those sorts of provisos need to be considered at all times.
Absolutely.
So, in regard to this tracker, we've got an offer for our Facebook community.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you joined us today on the live Facebook, we have a 10% discount code for you to use if you wish to purchase one, and that code is FB Live 10. So that again is FB Live 10, and if you put that in at the checkout, when you do an online order, or if you call us over the phone, just quote that code, and that will take 10% off the personal alarm and GPS tracker for you. And like I say, if you have any queries or concerns, then please don't hesitate to contact me, and be more than happy to discuss.
So I'm definitely going to talk to my dad about having a tracker. I think it's something that would really benefit him. I'm immediately thinking it through as I'm talking. I imagine one problem will be that he might forget he's agreed to it, and that will be an issue that obviously we'll need to address when we come to it. But try it. Try it. You don't know until you try. There are other types of trackers available. We have our catalogue available that you can order a free copy of by ringing our customer services number, or you can order a free copy of the catalogue on the website, and indeed see the full range of trackers on the website. And we will look forward to hearing your comments. Do post comments on Facebook, any further questions you might have about tracking devices. We'll be very keen to hear your questions. I will answer as many as I can. You can contact me at askbarbara@unforgettable.org, or simply phone the Unforgettable number, and Charlie will probably answer the phone.
I'll probably answer the phone.
He'll probably answer the phone, put you through to me, and we'll advise in whatever way we can. And we look forward to seeing you at our next live web session. And the subject is to be decided, but that will be very much influenced by what you tell us you'd like to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you.